Hello guys, Tops here. Today I want to talk to you about fast tempo bros. I got asked what that means, and basically it means that the early game bros, right? Early game bros. Also, people ask me what is an early game bro. So I think this concept might be new, especially for newer players. And what you basically do is especially early, you can't afford like good recruits, like hedge knights and all that stuff. You can just afford the cheap recruits, the garbage boys, right? And how do you make these guys useful? Because most of them will have horrible stats, right? Just bad stats overall. You can't really make them useful long term, right? For the late game. So how do you make them useful? You give them perks that make them useful. What kind of perks do you give them? Good question. Tempo perks. Perks that give you immediate power. A lot of the time you're gonna sacrifice late game power for that. But on a bro that isn't gonna make it to the late game anyways, because he's an early game tempo bro, a trash bro, whatever, it's not so bad. So, perks that I recommend for early game bros. Fast adaptation. Fast adaptation gives you additional 10% hit chance upon missing an attack. In the early game you almost always have only one-handed weapons, which will hit twice, so there's a high likelihood that you're gonna miss your attacks and then you get an additional 10% hit chance for the next attack. Very, very useful, especially early on, and the worse the melee skill of your brother is and the worse your hit chance is, the better is fast adaptation. Also, equipping your bros with spears and swords, which have plus 20% chance and plus 10% hit chance, also helps you a lot, or can help you a lot. The next thing, Colossus. Having high hit points is very important. And as you can see, 85 hit points on level 2, that's already relatively good. So Colossus is one of these other tempo perks, where like you take it and it has an immediate impact on the power level of your bro. It makes him much stronger. Because like you need to have like 85 HP or a little bit more in order to not get injured every time you take a hit. And especially early game when your armor is like very low or you don't have armor at all, you know, you're gonna take a lot of hit point damage if you get hit. So having high hit points early on, very important. Next thing, next perk I can recommend, 9 lives. 9 lives is especially good on bros that have like very low base hit points, and even with Colossus, they won't get that much additional hit points. And there are some bros who are just built like that. Some of them have like 50 base hit points, or like this guy has like 45 base hit points. If I give him Colossus, he's gonna have a little bit more. But on this bro, 9 lives would be better. Because 9 lives gives you such an amount of survivability that a lot of other perks just can't get you. 9 lives makes it that you immediately, once receiving a killing blow, basically gives you a second chance if you would get killed by an attack. It also completely cleanses any kind of bleeding or any kind of poison stacks. So if your bro would bleed out, it procs 9 lives instead, and the bleeding is gone. You also get additional stats, additional defense, additional resolve and all of that, so you are much more likely to survive the next attacks that follow. The amount of times 9 lives have saved a brother from me is insane, and the amount of survivability that you can get from stuff like 9 lives is also very high. So this is another perk that I can recommend. The next perk, Dodge. Dodge gives you plus 15% of your initiative as melee and range defense, which in the early game you have lighter armor, lighter weapons, so like you have a lot of initiative, right? And so for instance, a shield that costs 10 fatigue to equip, that also reduces your initiative by 10. But as you can see, this armor, for instance, has no weight, right? It weighs no fatigue. So it also has no initiative penalty. So as you can see, even when you don't skill initiative, you have like a full equipped early game bro, and he still has like 79 initiative. What that means is you're gonna get 11 melee and range defense from dodge on this brother. So dodge can give you a shit ton of defense, which again, the more defense you have, the less likely you are to take damage. So this is another tempo perk that can significantly help you out and increase your survivability a lot. The next tempo perk I want to talk about is Gifted. Gifted gives you basically an instant level up, and it gives you higher rolls and all stats. And what that basically allows you to do is to, for instance, take more melee skill, more melee defense, and more hit points, right? So basically more stats. So it's also nice because the game checks your character's level, but it doesn't check your gear. And Gifted gives you basically another level without a leveling, right? So your level, if you take this on level 3, your brother is level 3, but he has the stats as if he would be level 4, right? So you basically get another level. Downside of that is you don't have another useful perk, so that's generally not too good for late game bros, but it's not too bad either. But it's nice for tempo, just immediate reward, immediate stats, immediately being better. And the next tempo perk is Backstabber. Basically, normally, if you surround an enemy, you get plus 5% hit chance for every bro that surrounds him. For every additional bro that surrounds him. So like, if one bro is surrounding an opponent, he's not really surrounding it, he's just adjacent to him in a 1 versus 1 situation, you get nothing. But if a second bro is adjacent to an opponent, you would get plus 5% hit chance. But if you have the Backstabber perk, you would get plus 10. And again, it's the same as Fast Adaptation. If you have Fast Adaptation and Backstabber, you can get an insane amount of additional hit chance against enemies. And especially early game when you have like 50 melee skill, right? Additional hit chance is really, really important and makes a huge difference in terms of your damage output. Because it is much more likely that you're now gonna hit your opponents, right? And the faster you kill your opponents, well, the less likely you are being killed by your opponents. So offense is the best defense a lot of the time in Battle Royale. Yeah, that's another tempo perk. Another tempo perk is kind of tempo, especially early game, giving your trash bros or like your dedicated early game tanks Shield Expert. Shield Expert increases your melee defense, or the bonus you get from melee defense, by 25%, which is a lot. I think that would give you... man, I'm bad at math. I think that would give you 3 additional defense on this one. I think the game rounds that up. But basically, if you have the Kite Shield, it would give you plus 5% additional melee defense. And if you use Shield Wall, that would be another 5 additional defense. So this makes your shield bros much more survivable. And that scales very well if you have already given them dodge. So you can have these bros that have 0 base melee defense, or maybe like 1 defense. If you give them dodge and shield expert, they can have an insane amount of defense. Because one thing I will say, shields are OP. You get a shit ton of defense just for having a shield in your hand. Of course, that lowers your damage output, because you don't benefit from the double grip bonus, which is plus 25% damage, And you also can't swing a big two-handed weapon, which generally speaking does way more damage than the one-handed weapons. But it makes you so much more survivable. And giving a trash early game bro, or tempo bro, a shield, makes him much more survivable. Right, and thus more likely to get to higher level and get faster, better, stronger. Yeah, that's kind of like, these are kind of the tempo perks that I recommend. All of these perks are kind of good to get the brother fast, or to basically increase the power of your company and get your brother to be useful, despite his lacks of stats and despite his lack of quality. And you're gonna have a lot of these bros. Every run is basically, you start with, most of the time, just garbage bros, if you do your normal run. And these guys, they tend to die at some point, or you can just dismiss them or kill them off in battle. As soon as you can get stuff like Hedge Knights, if you have enough money to recruit all of the high ones and like the really good bros that you want to keep. And those are late game bros. And this transitioning is kind of like happening later in the game when you have enough money, right? And again, some people, I think early game is like the first 30 days, and then you have the mid game, and the mid game ends once the late game crisis starts around like day 80. Then we have late game. But like, and don't be discouraged if somebody says late game is like day 80. If you are a new player, I mean, your company is probably at like day 80, pretty much be maybe not a late game company. It's much more like a mid game, early game company. Don't be discouraged by that you are maybe behind some imaginary power curve. Just keep playing, right? And try new build out. And one thing, never stop recruiting. Buy the recruiter, never stop recruiting. Yeah, I think I over-explained that, and I rambled a lot, I guess. But this is my take on Tempo Bros and Trash Bros. And you can choose any of these perks, and it makes your brother immediately stronger. But that doesn't mean that you have to take every perk on this list to make a brother stronger. Just some of them, right? Alright guys, this is it. I hope that explained a lot, especially for the newer players. If you have any questions, I will see you down in the comments below. You can also ask me questions if I'm live streaming. And yeah, thank you for watching guys. Have a nice day. Bye bye.